All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to All the World's a Podcast. My name is Dottie Gunn, and I'm sitting here with Professor Thomas Ellis, and we're going to talk about his role as a director at Fresno State and as an educator here at Fresno State. So tell me a little bit about being a director. You just directed A Raisin in the Sun. How did that go?
Well, it went very well.
Excellent.
There's two phases of directing. It's working with the actors and then with acting and blocking, which is all the choreographed movement on stage. And then there's all of the technical demands that are applied to the play. So, we're working with the actors, character building, script analysis, that sort of thing. But eventually we have to step away from that and apply the lighting design, the sound design, the costumes, and the set. So they're kind of operating independently, and then eventually they're brought together. And that bringing together process it takes a while. Those are called our tech rehearsals. But eventually things get synchronized, and once everything is synchronized, we have a production. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I had the privilege of being one of your crew members for A Raisin in the Sun.
What were you doing?
I was doing props and set.
Oh, okay.
And I had a great time. I just want to shout out.
Yeah, that show turned out to be more prop heavy than I thought when I was reading it and seeing it.
Yeah.
Very prop heavy, which if I could trim some of the props away, I would have. Trust me.
Oh, it gave me something to do.
Oh, good.
Never be sorry for doing art. So, let's see. So, what was your first experience directing?
So I got my undergrad at California State University, Sacramento, many, many, many years ago. I was an MCJ major at that time, but I stumbled into a theater class by accident. It happened to be a black theater class.
Nice.
And eventually I accidentally got cast in a play, because I said accidentally because I was one of the singers in the chorus. And long story short, the director, I was also in his class, and he had me do a couple of exercises, and he saw that I could mimic a black preacher very well. And there was a black preacher in the play that he was directing that I was a choir member of.
Okay.
The guy that got cast in as the preacher, he dropped out, and he put a rookie into his part. It was very small, it was a cameo.
Okay.
But it was a sermon. He preached a sermon. And then that play eventually was entered in the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival. And we won our region, and then we won our other region, and we took it to D.C.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was the first play I was ever in, and went straight to the Kennedy Center.
That's awesome.
And literally, I was running track. I got to Sac State on an athletic scholarship.
Okay.
And, I made it to the nationals 3 or 4 times, but, you have to work very hard to get into the nationals of track and field. But this is my first time out as an actor, and we went straight to the nationals.
Yeah.
Just, without any context, without a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but I hadn't, been working in the theater at all. Mm-hmm. So it was like stepping onto the track and then just going straight to the Olympics.
That's awesome.
It was like that. But anyway, that led to a number of other roles that I had performed in. And after 4 or 5 shows, my mentor at the time, he said, "Have you ever thought about directing?" And I didn't think about it, but I directed my first show after doing about 5 or 6 acting roles.
Okay.
So, and then from that point, I was acting and directing. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it was only until I got here at Fresno State many years ago that I had to focus more on directing, because there's not that much acting opportunities for a black actor in the city. People will dispute that, but I don't think so. But that's another story.
No, let's talk about it, because one of the things I want to accomplish with this podcast is giving more opportunities to black actors and other actors who haven't really seen opportunity. So that's definitely one of the barriers to access you run across.
Yes. Now, of course, the theaters, the educational theaters, Fresno Pacific and Fresno City, they might dispute that. They might say, "Oh no, we're inclusive," and that's true. That's true. But
Yeah.
they're not doing black plays,
Right.
and they're partially not doing black plays because they don't have enough black students,
Right.
which is a kind of a. You're not going to get black students until you do more black plays.
Period.
So it's a catch-22.
Yeah.
But years ago, Fresno City had an enormous amount of African American students and actors coming through because they would eventually come over here.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mentioned all that to mention that because there's not that much. It wasn't when I was coming through here many years ago. It didn't seem to be that many meaningful roles.
Yeah.
In fact, this is an aside. One of the local theaters approached me many years ago to do there's a play called Driving Miss Daisy.
Okay, yeah.
That you might not know it so well, but your parents would know it.
Right.
But the film is based on the stage play.
Okay.
And the stage play is about this relationship between the Southern aristocratic older woman and her black chauffeur.
Yeah.
And it takes place in the 60s when, of course, just prior to civil rights. And it's a wonderful story, and it's about the synergy between this black servant and his white employer. White audiences loved it.
Right.
It's a wonderful story, but to many of us in the black community, it's a tad demeaning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would direct it, maybe, but I certainly don't want to be I don't want to perform in it.
Yeah.
So a local theater, as soon as I got into town, asked me to do that part, and I kind of declined.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of, I think, upset the artistic director because I was never asked to do anything over there again.
Oh, man.
But I'm not tripping about it, but the only reason I bring that up is because this town is so small that there aren't really that many parts for black actors, and that was a part for a black actor. I just wasn't interested in it.
Right, because it's just, like you said, it's demeaning.
It is, but listen, on the other side, Morgan Freeman won an Oscar for that role.
True.
He took it. He took the role. Now, I'm not bad-mouthing the actor for taking the role because it turned out to be a great film.
Right.
But I don't think that that's a good show to do here in this city, which is a politically red area. And a lot of the people in Fresno are conservatives, and they believe in that representation of black people and white people, that black people need to be glorified slaves and white people need to be the glorified slave masters.
Right.
In another city like New York or LA or San Francisco, I think audiences are a little bit more sophisticated and they can understand how that works.
Yeah, yeah.
But here it just reinforces the stereotype of the faithful servant. So, I mean, I might do it elsewhere, but I wouldn't want to do it here in Fresno.
I think that's a very fair point. And that brings me to my next question. When you chose Raisin in the Sun, what drove you to choose that play?
Ironically, that play deals with a black guy that is a chauffeur.
Yeah.
I just talked about this other chauffeur, but the difference between those two chauffeurs is that the chauffeur in A Raisin in the Sun, he has these aspirations.
Yeah.
In fact, he has the same aspirations that white guys, the same age, middle 30s, they have the same aspirations, to do well, to do well in business, to not have to work for anybody, but to be able to do well for themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the bedrock of the American dream, to have your own business.
Yeah.
The character in Driving Miss Daisy, Hulk, that's his name, because he's in the South and because he comes from a legacy of slaves and sharecroppers, and he's not really allowed to have those same dreams.
Man.
He's kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Because in the South, even if he has a business, where he's going to have to get some white backing.
Yeah.
He's going to have to get some startup money.
Yeah, yeah.
There are businesses for blacks in the black community, but in the 60s, as blacks are starting to move out, some of those businesses are shrinking, as is the case today.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just mentioned that because these are two chauffeurs. I think one chauffeur, one play examines Walter Lee's journey through life.
Yeah.
The other one is really more of the journey of the woman that the chauffeur works for.
Yeah.
It shows his life too, but it's
But
really more her,
yeah.
and we don't really get to see the inner pinnings of what makes up that chauffeur in Driving Miss Daisy.
Gotcha.
Anyway, my point about that is that driving A Raisin in the Sun has all of their characters are very richly written
Mm-hmm.
and textured. Every character has a deep story.
Yeah.
Benita wants to be a doctor. Well, let me tell you, in the 1950s, a black female, okay, there weren't that many female doctors, but there were even fewer black female doctors.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a stretch, but it's a dream.
Yeah.
It's an American dream. It's what Americans teach us to do.
Yeah.
So there's that dream versus the reality of is she really going to be able to make it?
Right.
She's going to be able to make it out of med school.
Yeah.
Because if she goes to a white medical school, they will wash her out.
Yeah.
They don't want her to be there.
Right.
But there are a couple of black schools that have med schools. They might let her succeed.
Yeah.
They might. I'd have to do more research in that. But it's a good story because she wants the same dream as many others.
Yeah.
And there are other characters in there that have the same kinds of stories, that wonderful dreams, but these obstacles that may prevent them from ever achieving.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of obstacles, I recently heard a quote by Viola Davis, who was talking about how she went to Juilliard and she was taught how to act with a lot of like white acting techniques.
Listen, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. When I was in grad school for my MFA, we did a number of, this is my funny story with one of my speech and breath technique and all of that. And so we were doing dialect work. Well, all the dialects that we were doing were European.
Right.
And I'm the only black in my class. There's about 8 of us. And I kind of humorously said, Professor, I don't want to mention his name, I said, Professor, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to use this Russian accent. I just don't think I can do it. And I had a master.
Yeah.
I said, but where am I going to use it? Where am I going to use this Russian accent? When I go out of here and audition in New York, they're not going to hire me as a black Russian. It's just not going to happen. Even in 2025, you don't see black Russians.
You can do voice work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. He didn't say that. But, not just voice work for black, but the Transylvanian, the Dracula, that sort of thing. That is helpful because voice work, they can't really see that you're black. But
Right.
It was a conundrum for me.
Right.
It wasn't just that, but there were a few other dialects that were not really helpful. Whereas, when I get out of school, I'm going to have to audition to do a Jamaican.
Right.
Or a thug from Chicago.
Yeah.
Someone straight out the hood.
Yeah.
Or someone out the South. And
Yeah.
those are the dialects that I'm going to need. But those are the ones I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
Which is okay because I kind of did mine. But
But you shouldn't have to study on your own.
exactly. Because Viola was right. I mean, these white kids are learning to perfect those dialects. And they're going to use them in the real world.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to be able to use that. And I spend a lot of time in a lot of classes mastering dialects that I'm not going to use. They're party favors. I can go to a party. I used to entertain my friends at parties and do these accents. But it was funny because you just don't see these kinds of people. Also during that time, many years ago, you didn't see as many black Brits.
Right.
The British BBC and British movies, they just didn't show those British blacks that much.
Yeah.
Now in 2025, you can't imagine seeing London without all these blacks.
Yeah.
But in those days, no way.
Yeah.
So we did have, myself and some of the black undergrads that I hung out with, we did have a fun time doing black British dialects.
Okay.
Even though they weren't really practical.
Yeah.
But they were fun to do. And it was funny because we were doing white characters.
Yeah.
So Viola's right on point. I think that's changing. I think Juilliard, maybe I can't speak for them, but I think because of DEI and
Yeah.
understanding that the world is, that New York is changing, the nature of theater is changing, that if they don't have people that can teach ethnic dialects, then they need to bring them in.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's see. So we covered that. So how does that, when you're teaching a student, how do you kind of navigate that?
So let me point to directing.
Yes.
Because that's a form of teaching.
Yes, of course.
There's two sets of actors. One actor in educational theater, high school and college, sometimes those actors need you to give them a full, they want to be coached.
Yeah.
Tell us what to do.
Yeah.
Professional actors, just tell me where to go and I'll kind of work it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm constantly struggling. I can direct either.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's kind of funny because I have to switch gears.
Yeah.
And I have to judge based on what the actor, what that student actor wants. Do they want everything laid out, or do they want a little bit laid out? Do they want to struggle on their own
Yeah.
and kind of come up with characters? And because they're not that used to building their own characters, it's a little bit of a struggle. So they need a little bit more stuff from me. So I think the well-rounded teacher of theater is going to be able to adjust.
Yeah.
What does that actor need? And when kids get out of this program and go teach in high school, those kids don't really have that much background to be able to build and sustain the character the way a professional would at the Mark Taper Forum or on Broadway or something like that. So I think for people that are aspiring to do educational theater, they just need to know they're going to have to do both.
Yeah.
Hands-on and hands-off.
All
Does
right.
that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then finally, do you think that theater is still relevant today?
Well, of course, because I work in it, I think.
Right, of course.
But I think we're competing now with, let me just say, theater is one of the traditional arts. You know, the ballet, the symphony, the theater. I think in this area, it's not as relevant as it is in the Bay Area or New York or Chicago, because these are cultural hubs. Fresno's not. I mean, there are people, we're trying to be. There is a thriving arts community.
Yeah.
But it's not the same vibe as you would find in Los Angeles.
For sure.
Seattle, Dallas.
For sure.
So my job, along with the other artists in Fresno, is to kind of continue to build that audience, to build that awareness, to build that those expectations, because a lot of the kids that come up in this and adults that come up in this town, they're seeing theater, but they're seeing theater at the Cineplex,
right,
or on television,
right,
or worse yet, on TikTok.
Right.
So I think TikTok, I'm just using that as a generic, that's hurting traditional theater because people are able to just watch these kinds of skits, and they're not really, they don't want to see a real play because they're seeing this watered down stuff.
Yeah.
So I think theater owners and managers need to figure out ways to make theater more relevant.
Do you have any ideas?
Well, I do, but that's a little too complicated to get into this forum. That's our part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be down to have a part 2.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that wraps us up today. Thank you so much. Oh, my hat is falling off of my head. Well, hats off to you.
That's very smooth. I'm very impressed.
Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
show
you for
today.
having me. My
Absolutely. And thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hate saying that part, but please, it supports the show. And check us out on Instagram and YouTube Music. And I will see you at the theater. Bye-bye.